Hey, super excited to have Mary Burnett on the show, also known as MobileMary. Super excited to have her to talk about mobile marketing or text marketing, which is something I think we don't talk enough about. It's another really amazing tool to get in front of your clients and your audience. So I'm just going to turn it right over to Mary right now to give us a little bit of an introduction. Who are you? What do you do? And why do you do what you do?
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for being on your show. Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you so
I'm
much
on your show.
Yeah, I know, right? It's all one big community of love. Yes.
Yes.
So thank you so much. Yes. So as you said, I'm MobileMary. I go by that because I'm a mobile and social expert. I've actually been in business for 33 years and I'm only 34.
Amazing.
So that's my story. And I'm sticking to it. But we were involved in traditional marketing for the first 20. And then I was starting to tell you a little bit before the show that one of our clients was Kawasaki. And they were complaining that their dealers were complaining to them. Like we did events and promotions and things for the corporation. And I said, I was kind of sassy. I said, of course, it was after a trade show, so a few drinks might have been involved. I said, well, how do you market to and they're like, well, our agencies do all the things, the website and the ads and the direct mail and the email, and this new thing called email. Okay. This is back in 2007. And I was laughing. I'm like, oh, okay. And I said, well, aren't your customers mobile? I mean, literally on their motorcycles driving around. Like they're not at home waiting for your postcard. They're not on a computer with email because there's only flip phones back then, like maybe a few smartphones. The iPhone had just come out that year, 2007. So I'm like, this is a computer, by the way. So we can actually send links that would lead. And they're like, what? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, well, it sounds good, but you need to convince our agencies. So I was like, well, you're the client. Like, just tell me you want to do this. Yeah. It doesn't work that way, of course. So I spent 2 years basically building software. Every time they would tell me, you can't do this and you can't, I'd be like, you're not the boss of me. Because I'm the baby of 6 kids. Okay. So that's like my mantra, right? Anyways. And so when we finally launched in 2009, we drove 93,000 new customers to their 1,500 dealerships across the country.
Wow.
And we learned so much about consumer habits, all this stuff that was like, but I had never gotten that kind of response on any marketing campaign I'd done in 20 years. Yeah. So I dove headfirst into mobile marketing. People looked at me with a head cocked, like, what? Like, we have a family phone. We leave our phone in the car. Like all these things. I'm like, you know what? There's going to be a day where you won't leave the house without your phone, your wallet, and your keys. And they would look at me like I was crazy. And I was like, okay, see you in 5 years or see in 10. Yeah. And so now today, right, you literally don't leave the house. If you panic, if your phone isn't within like arm's reach, like you're like,
Totally. Yeah. And I love that you reference like the year that you did this in 2007 and then 2009. And obviously there's early adopters that will jump on things like that, right? We saw that with Clubhouse this year, everyone wanting to get on Clubhouse when it first rolled out, only to iPhone users. So I was left in the dust because I had an Android and I do have an Android. I know.
But baby.
Yeah. And when I graduated commerce from my marketing degree in 2003, like e-commerce wasn't even a thing. And so I just love that you're referencing kind of when you first started to introduce this, because I think, again, the marketing world has changed. The way in which we can, get our products and services in front of our clients and customers and audience has changed. And we are so attached to that phone. Like that is the thing that like you said, we do not leave our house without it. And if we do, it's like, oh God, where did I leave my phone? Or did I leave it at home? Did I leave it at the grocery store?
How do you call home to see if it's home?
Yeah.
Because there's no pay phones anymore. So you'd have to like stop someone on the street. Can you call my house? Like seriously, like we're so addicted to it. But yeah, so you specialize in messaging, which I think is phenomenal because that's what I think is the thing that ties everything together. Mobile marketing or text marketing or SMS marketing, whatever you want to call it, is such a personal thing. Like something that I've been saying for years. And every once in a while when social media goes down, I'm like, I told you, I'll be like, please don't 100% rely on social media. I mean, it's awesome. We help clients with social media. It's a great way to promote your text marketing campaign because the whole thing is we want to build our list. So we own a list of people who know, like, and trust us, who want and like what we offer, who want to get messages from us, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to bother, just like with email now. Of course, email is a little slow to the uptake now, because that's why we have all the spam. They didn't have the Can Spam Act in place. But the beauty of mobile marketing is that right from the beginning, the FCC clamped that down. So you can't buy a mobile list. If you do, it's legal. I mean, it's against the law.
Yeah.
And so they'll shut you down so fast. It's crazy. So we could talk all about that. But what I'm saying is like when someone gives you permission to text them, they're giving you rights to their personal device. So that's a big responsibility to make sure that you're communicating in a way and engaging them in a way that they feel empowered and loved. And you mentioned in your thing that when your energy is magnetic, it's the most irresistible force in any crowd without you saying a word. And that's so true. And people love feeling like a personal connection with you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a small business you. It could be even a brand like Kawasaki, when they feel like they're taking the time to say, hey, we hear you, we see you.
Yeah.
We know what you want. And in this, creating this whole thing with that campaign, we learned like where these people lived, because we did like secondary campaigns so they could text when they're in the store. So we knew when John Jones was standing in the Tempe, Arizona store on 3rd and Temple. And we knew based on questions we asked and things they answered, what color bike, what style bike, what brand, or, they have all these different things. We knew their customers so well that we could send them targeted, like, oh my gosh, your lucky day. We have a red X5 in green or whatever, green trim waiting for you. And here's $500 off if you buy it today.
Brilliant.
Right. With a link that takes you to a map that leads you right back to the store. It's like, oh, and people were so back in 2009 freaked out, like, oh, they know me.
Yeah, totally.
But in a positive way back then.
Yeah. So for our listeners, I want to kind of back up a bit in terms of like, how does it even work? Right. So like for somebody that's like, I've never, I understand email marketing and people get on my list and I send them an email, but like, how do people opt in to get on a text message list? Is it the same as email?
Very, very similar. And that's a great way of explaining it, because people are like, oh my gosh, it seems like so, scary. I said, no, when you click to enter your email, boom, they send you what you want and they have now your email. Same thing with text marketing. You can either text in a keyword. So as an example, I just signed up a customer yesterday who has this big event. It's like an entrepreneurial event. So if you text the word spirit to the certain keyword, I won't say because we don't want to get people who are not their market, right? They're going to be entered to win $100. And during the event, they'll get a link to donate, which they can choose to give the $100 back if they want, or not, or be able to, like when the auctions are open, they'll have a communication device, right? So you text the keyword to it, or we have a QR builder, at least in our software, and other softwares might, that you can scan it and it basically opens up your text marketing with the keyword already pre-populated. Yeah. You just hit send, boom. And that's the thing. There's no data entry, right? Like the marketer doesn't have to sit there and type out remember the business card stack? Oh my God.
Going to an event and having business cards thrown in like a fishbowl basically, and then having to go home, or someone entering a draw at your booth and you're like then going back. And I mean, I don't have it anymore, but I know at the store, at the wine store that I used to own, my listeners will know this. And if they don't, they know now, but but I had a draw once and I had all these names. And I think that jar sat literally in the back of the store forever because I just didn't have the time to input their email and their customer information. And so I love how simplified that is and how it takes it like the work away from the marketer or the business owner. So does 100%. This work for service-based and product-based, or like, what does it work best for, or both?
Either or, because we have clients that are, of course, brick and mortar, right? Yeah. So restaurants and retail stores do well because you're trying to drive back foot traffic. But also online businesses, when you have like e-commerce, as you mentioned, to remind them that they have a product waiting for them, that they have liked in the past, or there's some things in the shopping cart. I mean, you could use text marketing for things to remind it. I even have consultants, a couple of reasons, they'll send out a text saying they have an email waiting for them because people don't check their email anymore.
Yeah.
So you've done all this work creating this beautiful email with all these graphics and the newsletter, whatever, and then nobody reads it. Hello. But email is still great because it's a long form communication tool.
Yeah.
Which is really important. But if you want to catch someone's attention, send them a quick text and with a little link, boom, that goes to their email, right? And the other thing consultants use it for is accountability. So they might have a program set up where they have to, watch certain videos or fill in certain reports on certain days to hold them accountable. So they can actually send a text out to say, oh, this is what's due today, or, oh, you need to do this today. So it's just, again, as you mentioned, very similar to email. And you can also set up web forms on Facebook, on your website. But the whole point is once you get them into your world, into your funnel, right? We call it the texting funnel. Then it starts a conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's different about, we talk about social marketing as social, right?
Yeah.
But sadly, not enough people understand how to be social.
Yeah.
Right. They're just like blast, blast, blast. It needs to be a conversation. Yes. So the beauty of text is because you're getting them on their mobile device. Here, I'm looking for my phone. It's because you're going to your personal device when you have a conversation and it doesn't seem like a salesy weirdo.
Yeah.
People feel like, as we say, like heard.
Yeah.
They feel like their opinion matters, their input on polls or questionnaires or if they enter their information like, oh, I love green.
Yeah.
Whatever, or I love, or here's my email, and then it integrates directly into your MailChimp or your content or whatever. Then it just becomes this seamless
conversation.
Thing, and it takes marketers' shoulders out of their ears.
Yeah.
Let them calm down and just enjoy their business because, like you said, you had a wine shop and never had time to do the marketing because you're so busy and you're doing what you love to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is my dream. It's like, I want people to be able to do what they love to do. Yeah. And not worry about all the tech in the background.
Yeah. And that's, it's such a big thing for, I think, any business really, I think. And a lot of the women that I work with or businesses that I work with come to me and they're like, I started this business because I love helping people, or I, really passionate about the products I'm selling or whatever it is, but they didn't sign up to be the marketer or the salesperson. And and it's so true with social, like, right. It's like this, we've lost our ability to be human and have like real conversation. So I want to dive a little bit into that because I know you talked about like long form and short form communication. And some of our listeners might be like, well, how long can a text message be? Like, how long is it? Only short form or?
Well, that's preferable because sadly we have less of attention span than a goldfish now.
Yeah.
Remember that used to be a thing like, oh, those goldfish have such a short attention span. Now ours is even shorter. Sad. Yeah. But yeah, so a typical short code usually has 160 characters, which is like the old Twitter. Twitter is now extended. Yeah. But 160 characters, which it's amazing how much you can get done in 160 characters. We also are getting 800 numbers for customers because the carriers are wanting to build more privacy. So we're complying. And so eventually they're going to start shutting off like shared short codes. So we get our customers their own 800 number, and that goes up to 250 characters. Believe it or not, it's a little bit longer. Yeah. But we can also, this is really cool for a lot of our larger customers who they need customer service and they might have an established 909 plumber, it's like a landline. We actually can activate a landline to take texts. So it still can make phone calls, but now if they put a slap that on the side of the van that says text or call, 909 plumber or whatever, people can actually text, which they're already doing, by the way. I don't know about you, but I've texted businesses saying, hey, what time are you open? And then I get an error bounce back. This number is not, whatever, So when you do that, those messages, any landline, that's also 160 characters. I know I'm getting into the weeds, but yeah. So 160 characters, but you can also, and the last thing I'll say is MMS, which is multimedia service. So SMS is simple. Yeah. And MMS, that you can send 500 characters. So it's really long with a picture, a video clip, an audio clip. It's now like you look at that and go, oh my God, this is obnoxious. Like you hate those long texts. Like my children are like, Mom, stop speaking into your phone because the texts are like 15 inches long. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's so true though. And I think that that's partly why even social has gotten awkward in some way. Like you get into the DMs with someone and it's like these like 6 messages that are like, Duke, Duke, Duke. And you're just like, I have to come back to it. I don't have time to read it. Right.
Right.
And
Right.
so I think like short, snappy is great, but I also think in combination with like an email, right? Having people on an email list where you can send long form if you want, or post
Exactly.
longer form on Instagram or Facebook if you want. But I'm so intrigued by the text message. I had a guest on a couple episodes ago, and she's implemented text in her business mainly to create a community around her podcast, if anything. And and I was like, this is crazy. And then literally 2 days later, you reached out and asked to be on the show. And I was just like, I have to have you on the show because I think it's not a new concept, but it's something that I think is new, specifically in the online space, online coaching, consulting space. We don't see a lot of people kind of using that. And even product-based, I still think it's like not, I remember when we had the brick and mortar, somebody had come in and said we could send text messages to people that were even in the vicinity. Like, how does that work?
Well, I think you're talking about targeting or geofencing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have the ability to do the same thing, but they have to opt in already because it's permission based.
Gotcha.
So what they might have been talking about in your store is there used to be a thing, and I don't think anyone even does it anymore. It was called beacons.
Oh,
so you could literally set up a beacon. It looked like an Apple TV or a Google, like, whatever those little pucks are called.
Yeah.
Anyways, but you could set those up because I remember we had clients who wanted us to put them up in their stores.
Yeah.
And then they had like a Bluetooth beam that would go out. And if someone was walking by and phones are all set to default to accept that kind of stuff. So if you didn't set it, so you couldn't accept it, supposedly when you walked by, it could go bing, get $1 off your cup of coffee. You look to your right, and you're like, oh, and then that freaked people out.
Yeah.
Because they were like, and so I remember one of my engineers said that they worked on a campaign for Home Depot and they would put these beacons out. And so if you were even driving by a Home Depot, it would be like, on a freeway, it'd be like, ding, come on in. But I think it was cast too much of a negative to people thinking that they were being
watched.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though, truth be told, we're all being watched all the time. We talked about that social dilemma. Frightening. Yeah. But when you just plug into the Borg, Star Trek reference.
We're being watched.
We're being watched. We're basically being fed everything like, oh, it's not our ideas anymore. It's like, we've seen that ad 17 times. We're going to probably buy those shoes. It's like crazy. But so that's kind of probably what you're talking about. We do build apps as well, and apps have that feature as well. But once someone has opted into your list, you can set up a geofence. So again, if they've already given you permission, you can say once they cross over this perimeter, then the message that you've scheduled to go out won't go out until they cross that perimeter.
Okay.
So it becomes timely.
Yeah. So it's all done with permission. Like you were saying at the beginning, when you first launched this, or when this first kind of became a thing, that there was a lot of things that were clamped down on it. Right. Whereas now we're starting to see a lot more sort of privacy protection, even with like new Facebook stuff and the iOS rollout for Facebook ads and different things like that. But that was done with text messaging, like kind of right out of the gate.
It was. Yeah. The FCC saw what happened with email.
Yeah.
All the spam and like, oh my gosh, I remember the days you used to get all those joke emails. Like you're like, I never signed up for that, and I think that actually planted a seed for us not to trust email. And so that's why one of the reasons we don't open it. One, we get so much. Two, it's like, I don't want to click on something. And, if you see a Friends episode, but it said open now or whatever, remember that. Anyway, sorry. Anyways, but so from the very beginning, they said no. So that it's called the Can Spam Act. That's what it is. Okay. So they implemented right in the beginning for text marketing because the carrier said, well, we make money, on phones. If people stop using their phones, we're not going to make any money. So we don't want to do, any. So they made sure that it was implemented.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so that was a big deal to them. So, and then back in the old days, you used to actually pay for each text. So I don't know if you remember, like you get 200 texts with your plan. If then it went 10 cents a text or something obnoxious. So now data rates, you pay for unlimited text. But what's interesting is they didn't update the wording. So you still, when our software, and I'm assuming any good software would have automatically, when you first logged in, it says message and data rates may apply, which people just ignore now because they know they have unlimited data. But in the old days, literally, like when we first started, you're like, oh, I don't want to get a text because I might get charged for it, So things have definitely progressed.
Cool. And so why do you think it's so important for businesses to consider this type of marketing for their business?
Because you need to own your own data.
Yeah.
Person who dies with the most toys wins. It's the person who dies with the biggest list wins, right?
Yeah.
You want to have, that sounds morbid, but you want to own it, because like 2 or 3 weeks ago, when Facebook and Instagram went down for 5 hours, I don't know about you, but I had people texting me saying, is everything okay? What's going on? Like, I own Facebook. I'm like,
right.
It's what happens. I said, and this is why you need text marketing, because you would own your list and you could send out. So all of my clients sent messages out saying, hey, just so you know, Facebook might be down, but we're not. Come on in for a free slushie when you buy whatever. There was actually messaging around the shutdown. And then of course, those 5 hours, I was sending out emails and text messages saying, hey, if you're freaking out right now, it's because you don't have the confidence, because you don't have a list built. Let me help you build a list. Yeah. So that's the thing. You need to own that. So you have control of your messaging, which of course you're the expert at. You need to know how to talk to your people and make them feel loved and appreciated. And text marketing means that you have that ability. Again, there are limitations. You're not supposed to send text in the middle of the night. So between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m., you can do whatever you want. There's so little though. You actually, because I do some bots as well. Yeah. For clients, because we can tie our text messaging platform into bots. But what's interesting is bots have so many rules. Like, if you haven't messaged somebody within 24 hours, you can't talk to them again. Like all this weird stuff. Well, text, no, you're the boss of you. As long as you keep between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m., you can talk to your people anytime you want. You're the boss.
Yeah. And I think, again, we downplay, I think, sometimes the power of having our own list. I know, again, when I started the brick and mortar, that was the first thing we did. Every person that walked through that door, it was like at point of purchase, like, what's your name? What's your phone number? What's your email address? And by the way,
valuable.
We're going to add you to this list. And I've talked to so many business owners that I didn't even really think about that. The first thing they think about is signing up for Facebook and Instagram and creating the profile and getting out there and starting to put their information out there. But you're right. We don't own Facebook and Instagram, and we don't own that platform. And so if we don't have a way to communicate to our people, that's controlled by us, text messaging, email, right?
Right.
If Facebook, Instagram goes down, we lose 5 hours or 6 hours or 10 hours in the day. And who knows, the shutdowns could be longer going forward. We don't know that.
Right.
Or
you mean in the metaverse?
Yeah, in the metaverse. I know. I was like, what? You totally changed your name and I'm still calling you Facebook. So
yeah. I understand it's like an umbrella. Like my umbrella company is Another Brilliant Idea, Inc. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So Another Brilliant, because everyone needs another brilliant idea. Yeah. But I have products under that, right? I have brilliant mobile messaging, brilliant mobile apps. So I get why they did it. And it's so funny. They obviously are Marvel fans. Totally. Because, Spideyverse and.
Yeah, I know. And then the logos, the logo, then other companies have come out and been like, oh, you've emulated our logo. I forget the company that came out. It looks very similar
really?
to their logo. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Metaverse.
Can you imagine having the cojones to sue Facebook for your logo?
Right? Not a chance. Facebook's like, yeah, we'll take care. We're going to just take care of this.
It's okay. We'll just take all this from you. It's okay.
You're going away now. Yeah, you're going away now.
We have more money than God. So we're just going to take that in.
Yeah. You didn't post this. No.
I'm just kidding, Mark. I'm just kidding. You do what you want.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. Yeah. You're God. No.
It's okay. Yeah. Little G God. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's so much space right now, like I said, especially, with products for sure, but in the online business space, consultings, coaches to like really build a community. And I get a lot of people coming to me that are like, how do I build a community off Facebook? How do I build a community off Instagram? Well, email is a big one, right? It's like you can create that community there. There are other platforms that you can, Mighty Networks, I think is one. I don't use it, but there's other platforms. But I think text messaging is like, there's such an opportunity. Like you said, it's personal. We normally only get text messages like from family and friends, right? Like we don't get, it's such a new concept and I love it. So I would love for you to share a little bit about, how could a coach or consultant implement this in their business?
Sure. That's a great question. So as I said a little bit before about accountability. So, and let me give you one example, and this really isn't a coach, but I guess you could call it that. But a gentleman who owned he was a brain psychologist.
Yep.
For people who had brain trauma, he helped them basically build back the synapses in their brain, right? So he went through. The challenge he had, and again, kind of like a coach, challenge he had is that every time he'd give them new direction, because they had brain trauma, they couldn't remember it.
Right.
Badly.
Yeah.
So he'd have to start over again, always going back, and he couldn't move the needle. So it was frustrating to him as a therapist that he couldn't he made headway, but it just was so slow because he'd have to go back, take 2 steps back, 1 forward, 2 steps, 1 forward, right? Also, he was paid by the insurance companies, right, to help their clients get better. So he had to prove how he was helping them, right? So it was like this poor guy was a dichotomy. So I was like, okay, well, how about we create a series of text messages and we'll set up like an automated funnel, right?
Yeah.
So the day they get into therapy, either you enter them with their permission or they enter themselves, whatever, their family member. And then either every day, or let's say on day 2, day 4, day 8, day 12, you have an assignment for them. Like, here's something to read for the day. Here's the exercise they have to do. And maybe like one day it was just go outside, look to the sky, breathe deep, and say something out loud that you're grateful for. Like just something like that. Another day was make sure you're taking your vitamin C. Little like goofy stuff like that. But he set it up where if everything was automated, and then we would take that and clone that entire funnel for a different kind of treatment. Yeah. So now he had very targeted messaging to the specific patient who needed this. And now he could track, because they would have to click on a link and say, oh, I was grateful for this, or I did the exercise and it date stamped it. So now he could actually go to the insurance company and say, hey, look, I not only have gotten them to do this, here's proof that I did it, right? So very similarly, consultants can do the same thing. Yeah. If they have a group program, they can hold their people accountable. They can get feedback, because I don't know about other software. Ours has 2-way texting. So you could literally text back and forth, either your landline number or the short code or 800 number, and answer their questions back and forth. And again, it's all contained. There's a paper trail, so to speak, a digital paper trail, right? And then you can create, like inside the software, landing pages and mobile sites and things that they can interact with, create a community like you mentioned, but makes them feel personal, that you're not part of the masses, that they're talking personally to each customer or a client or whatever, because you can personalize text, you can collect all the different data and then feed it back in a way that, again, they feel seen and they feel heard, which I get shivers because I've seen the difference that it makes,
Yeah.
And it makes me really happy.
I love what the therapist did. And again, I think, for me and the business that I do is like, I'm so passionate about client results. And I think, again, there's lots of programs and courses out there that are just sold to the masses, and there's like 4,000 people in them. And it's like, if you go through it, great. If you don't, whatever. But I'm so about like my client's result and really helping them get it. And I think that's such a cool little layer that you could add as a coach or a consultant, where it's like, progress reports, or even like just like quick little updates, like, goal for the week, or, set, what are your steps for success this week? Or, you know what I mean? Like some cool little ideas. And the therapist thing is a brilliant, right? Like really playing into the struggle of his clients or patients that they can't remember. And so it's like little cute and funny things, lighthearted messages. Yes. It doesn't always have to be selling. And I think that's the thing that a lot of businesses think like, oh, if I do the text messaging thing or the email, like in every email, I have to be selling, or I have to put this like sales hat on, but you can create a really lovely community just with some lighthearted stuff too.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be like buy now, buy now, buy now, buy now.
And because that's the fastest way to get people to opt off your list.
Totally.
Right. And people can, all they have to say is stop. Boom. They're off the list. You can't even add them back on until they choose to come back.
Yeah.
So, you do things that's not, it sounds, you don't want to make your customers mad.
Yeah.
Right. But I love your idea of the humor, because that's like, there's software, I can't remember the name of it, years ago, I used to use that while you were waiting for it to they would have all these funny sayings. You're like, rightio, we're cranking, the hamsters are on the wheel. Like they like the little things as it was thinking. And I got such a kick out of that. I wanted to wait so I could see their funny
thing,
communicate. Right. And so that's the thing, like with our customers, I'm like, life is short. There's so much negative stuff in the world. Let's make something fun, So like, hey, so like you mentioned like podcasts. Yeah. So I used to have a podcast years ago before they called it a podcast. It was like internet radio or something. And that's what I used, text marketing, because it was called Brilliant Mobile Marketing. And so I would get people to opt in because it was a live show that people could call in. So I would send a message out every week saying, hey, the topic this week is this. Here's the phone number to call in for questions. I have to admit, not many people did.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was my sister, but it's all good. But anyways, it was a great way to create that community. And then we would get silly with it, and then with like the text to win features, you can actually say, okay, one lucky winner every week is going to win blank. Yeah. And then you can automate it. So instantly because I'll be sometimes surprised, be like, oh yeah, I forgot I said, oh, here's the winner of this thing, and then they call and they're like, oh, so I mail out their gift card or I send it electronically. Cause now things have evolved. I can send a Starbucks gift card right from my phone.
Totally.
Or automate it, like with Zapier and everything. You can automate all these steps, and your people are happy. They feel filled with joy. They feel like you know them. They're having this personal relationship with you. And that's really what we want, right? As marketers, we want people to feel, and this is a dated reference, but did you ever watch Cheers?
I did, but I was young when Cheers was a thing. Yeah.
So remember Norm?
Yes.
And he'd walk in the door and he'd go, Norm, right? And he's like, oh, and he'd say something funny, right? Well, that's what we want. We want people to feel like Norm at Cheers when they get a text message like, oh, thanks.
They care about me.
That's lovely. Yeah. Like we have a little cookie company that uses text marketing. Yeah. We do social and mobile for them. So when they send out a thing, they only send that deal out to those mobile VIPs. So when they get that, seriously, their cookie display, she'll take pictures right before the text goes out. And then 15 minutes later, I mean, literally
gone. People
drive over there and buy everything up. And I'm like, so make more the days you want to do that. Right. And so when she introduced gelato, oh my God. I mean, it was like, wow. And people were like, oh my God, like it was crazy. So yeah, it's just a fun, instant way to communicate on demand with your customers that you control. Basically.
Love it. And I think you can get like so creative with with the way that you connect and communicate via text, right? Like you said, it doesn't always have to be like buy now, but we can get so creative with how we make our customers feel and how we connect with them depending on the business. So yeah, I
need to connect you with my customers, right? Because you could help them create the messaging that would, right, in a short, sweet way.
Yeah.
Because like we were talking about before, like marketers sometimes can't, like no cobbler doesn't have any shoes. You need to be able to like say it in a way that people will be like, oh, this applies to me. Oh, it's something I have to, do. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing is it goes hand in hand, right? Is like the strategy or the tools or the techniques that you use, like text, email, social media, like it all works together.
It does.
But you have to be able to communicate in a non-icky, salesy, awkward way. Like we're all humans and your customers are humans. And we got to remember that like, right. I love the spinning wheel, like you were mentioning on the websites where it's like, oh, the bots are working behind the scenes or like whatever. And then it's like, oh, sorry, it's taking a little long. We've got to go to Mars and back or something. Like it's just, those things crack me up. And I'm like, let's bring some humor back into marketing. make it a little lighthearted, because I think, yeah, you can have so much fun with it. So
It's so true.
Yeah, I've loved chatting with you about text. I could go all day really talking to you about text marketing and mobile marketing. Is there anything else you'd love to share with our listeners today? I know we veered away from, I had some questions for you, but I just
I was just actually looking
yeah, let the conversation flow.
You had such good questions for me, and I was thinking, is there anything we didn't answer? So you asked, what's the definition of success?
Yeah,
I thought that was a really good question. So I wrote to myself, when you've grown a list of active buying customers that want what you offer, and you're not dependent on social media to promote your business, that would be success. Now, I'm not saying cut out all other, I think you need social, you need email. These are all different platforms, but something I don't think we haven't talked about yet is that we don't know how our customers like to get information.
Yeah.
Right. As children, we were tactile learners or audio learners or visual learners. Right. So everyone also has their lens of reality on.
Yeah.
So we all get information different ways. We like to, right. So it's our job as business owners, marketers, is to figure out how certain customers, and even all of our customers, won't like getting the same information the same way.
Totally.
So when you can automate it, so maybe they get a little text, remind them that an email is waiting. And in the email, it says, hey, here, click on here to go to our social. And then here's a coupon if you wanted to, you layer it so everyone feels that they're getting what they need when they need it, and there's all kinds of tools that you can build into this kind of software. And you mentioned Brilliant, by the way. Thank you for the plug, because our software is called Brilliant Mobile Marketing and Brilliant Mobile Messaging. But anyways, but that's the thing. We want to make it brilliant for people, just like you want to have people have brilliant messaging. It's important that we don't work so hard.
Yeah.
We need to make it so you're not reinventing the wheel every time, that you can just relax, do it. The reason you started your business is you had a passion for whatever it is, making wine, sewing knapsacks, or whatever your passion is. Get all that other stuff taken care of so you can just sink into your business and enjoy your staff and your customers and just make all that work. That just feels so good to me to know that, once that's all set up and their messaging is correct, like from you, that everything goes together, and then they can go, oh, okay.
Yeah. And such a beautiful way to, say it, because I think that's the thing with a lot of business, like I've said, is a lot of them go into business because they're passionate about the thing that they're selling or the thing that they're doing. And then the marketing part feels so heavy and the sales part feels so heavy. And so, and you're so right, is that everybody digests content differently. Right. And so we've got to play with that and kind of create a little of an ecosystem within what you're doing, right? Like long form, short form, quick text, funny, humor, whatever it is.
Right. And once you do it, though, once you've created that, and I think, because when you start talking about, you have to do all the things, people are like, but what's cool is you do all the things and they're done.
Yeah.
And then if you ever want to, a recorder, revisit it, see, if you have your SMART goals and, what you need to get done, and maybe things shift slightly. All you do is clone what you've done, change it slightly, done. It's I think we sometimes feel like if we're not busy, we don't deserve it. Or if we don't reinvent it every time, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
If it's the old expression, if it ain't broke, why fix it? Right. If something's working, take what works and then shift it slightly and see if that works. And if it doesn't, shift back. It's okay.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. We overcomplicate, I think, for sure. And we don't give service to repurposing, or like you said, don't try to fix what isn't broken. If it's working, let that work. We don't need to be busy all the time doing all the things. Just let your marketing do its job once you've got it up and running and ready to rock. So it's been such a pleasure connecting with you and chatting with you and learning all about text marketing. Where can our people find you?
Sure. In fact, you just said that, it reminded me. So if you go to our website, Another Brilliant Idea, if you, on the front page, there's actually a sign up, right? My ethical bribe to sign up for email. And you can actually get the top 10 texting tips.
Amazing.
Is a thing. So basically it's do this, don't do that. So I kind of read it in that format. So people kind of know what's cool, what's not. And And the things we talked about on the show is very similar. So you can just download that for free and you could use that. You don't have to use our service. There's other software that's awesome. Of course, ours is more awesome, but that's, another thing.
Yeah.
Just kidding. But at least we'll give you a guideline of how to really connect with your consumer, with your client, with your, people who, again, know, like, and trust you, and start that conversation, create that relationship, and you'll have a customer for life.
Brilliant. Yeah. And I think, again, that connection, that conversation is so important. Is there anywhere they can find you on social?
Of course. I'm MobileMary. So you can go to Facebook. I think somebody once, when I first started somebody had taken MobileMary, like they were a notary service or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was the MobileMary. So I think it's Facebook, the MobileMary, and then Instagram is just MobileMary. So just Google MobileMary and you'll find me.
Awesome. Well, it's been, such a pleasure connecting with you and having you on the show. And I can't wait for our listeners to hear all things mobile marketing and text marketing. And I'm definitely going to start to investigate it for my own business because
awesome.
I think it's such a cool tool to use and just a really great way to create community. So,
and our software works both the United States and Canada. So
amazing.
Lucky.
That's a great thing to, So is it just those two countries or is it yes. global? Okay.
Yes. No, it's just, we provision it with the carriers. So there's that's a whole other conversation, but so US and Canada, but awesome. So if I can even help you, even if you don't choose our software, if I can help you kind of direct you and do stuff, but you are so awesome with your messaging, you would do very well.
Yeah, I got some cool ideas and I'm hoping our listeners got some cool ideas too of like how to really create community and sort of bring some humor and humanness back into marketing and connecting with people. So yeah.
I love it. Awesome. Keep doing the wonderful work that you're doing.
Thank you. It's been, like I said, a pleasure having you on.
Pleasure is all mine.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you right back here next time. You can also find us on social media at Creatively Owned and online at creativellyowned.com. Until next time, keep showing up as your authentic self.